we show up every day for the same, we have the same passion. I think you do as well. And I think the people that joined us this week, I think to a person probably feel the same thing.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
We're fortunate to be in this industry and to be with those like-minded people, can-do people.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done had I not met all these crazy people that I know that do this. But it's been a real pleasure and an honor to work with you. And the only regret I have is that John is not with us tonight.
Yes. And John always came up with the perfect words, especially in closing. So we're going to be missing John wisdom in closing this week. And but what a week! What a week! And I'm
John
speechless.
and Water have been in our memories, our thoughts all week.
And I think the thing that I was thinking about, well, because today I had a chance, I had to actually go work and do what I should have been doing all week long for the business I'm trying to operate here. But I had, all day long, I've had these seminars on. And my God, so much amazing information. People describing the NASCAR thing Brad was hosting beforehand, just realizing the huge amount of planning and effort and deployment of resources and process that has taken us to this moment. It reminds me a little bit like a moon launch. We're about to literally launch an entirely new era for America's premier form of motorsport, and it's daunting to realize what they still have. They probably have a to-do list still, and we're barely 2 months away from all this happening.
Yeah. It was so interesting to understand, and all the research and all the people they talk to, the best engineers in the industry, within NASCAR, but with all the OEs, and it's just,
yeah,
that was impressive.
And I was thinking last night, when we had Jim Campbell on, and we were talking to Mark Rushbrook, and from Australia, it's a global sport, but I'm also realizing we're seeing the ends of eras across the sport. Big change in NASCAR. Year after this, big change in IndyCar. Next year, big change in Formula One, big change in WRC, big change happening in WEC and in IMSA the next year, after next year. And we're in this place where the sport has a tailwind like I have not seen in so long, probably 2 decades. And it's caught this tailwind at exactly the right moment to hyper accelerate if it hits its marks. And you can see in talking to these people, everybody realizes a lot's on the line going into this.
Always evolving.
And one thing nice about racers, they're drawn to pressure. They're drawn to finding out how it turns out. They want the result. That's why they're in it. They like the absolute measure that's available in racing. And that was it was just interesting to hear so much of this building energy about what's about to be next. And this is really a next era. We were talking about coming out of a complete unknown, which was COVID-19, lockdown, and all the things surrounding that. We still have COVID in the world. We still have challenges, but what we all have, racers figure out how to live with risk and danger, and we led the world back to sport.
Yes. 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 I have live NASCAR.
And you look at that, when NASCAR rolled to the green flag in 2020 to go back on track, I was filled with emotion. It choked me up. It was like, I'm proud of our sport. And
what a huge undertaking.
Yes,
on
indeed.
their part.
Indeed. And we're in a different place now a year later. And congratulations to you two for what you've done. This moment was perfectly suited for what EPARTRADE is. It's a reminder to us that the world is on 24/7. It lives digitally. We're in a digitally forward society now. And the marketplace for ideas and products is always open globally, and you are that. You are.
Well, we needed you too, and you're a great leader and have great oversight, and I think we just make a good team.
Yeah, we do, and it just helps that we all get along and we've been energized working together. And I think what this is a gift to our audience. I've had literally my drive to and from the office, which I hadn't been going to the office very much over the last 18 months. But it's usually replying to people who've called me or texted me and have been just enthralled by watching what we've been doing. They've had it on all day long, and I think that we're onto something.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And
I've already had a lot of requests for all the web links.
yes,
We're going to get busy and start downloading.
and let's talk to our audience about what we're planning on doing there a little bit, okay? And
Perfect.
you've got a plan here on your end to convert these to content.
Yes, so everything has been recorded. Okay, it takes us about a week to basically cut, edit, and make every single webinar individual webinars. So they will be posted as they come on the EPARTRADE platform. They are actually right now on YouTube. The whole day for each day is on the YouTube channel on EPARTRADE, but just give us a little time and then we'll basically be posting every single webinar individually. And after that, they will be available on the platform, on YouTube. We'll promote them through our newsletter. And really the cool part about, and I think that came from you, Paul, last year, that said the live aspect is only one element. And then after that, they are there. They will be on podcast as well, and people can share, download, share with their friends, watch it whenever they want. And that's the beauty of it. And I think before we started Race Industry Week, we already have produced over 130 of those. So this is going to be an additional 50 or 60 or whatever it is. So we're starting to have a library of information that's absolutely priceless. And some are tech webinars, some are interviews, some, are whatever it is, but it's a lot of incredible content. And to reinforce what you just said about we are on to something, I think, the world, I was talking with, great suppliers of us this week that has been supporting a platform, saying great things about, what we're doing this week, and comparing a little bit what we're doing with, in-person, virtual, etc. And the way he described it was, I never thought of it, but very smart. It says we used to go to the movies, and we all love going to the movies, and then Netflix came, and then it just offered other opportunities. It's not like we still go to the movies, we still enjoy the movies, but then suddenly you can watch some series that you can watch at the movies that are available on Netflix. So it's a combination of both. And that's kind of like the world of tomorrow. It's not what's best or how convenient or whatever. The in-person are priceless. You can't replace face-to-face interaction, but online offers tools that are so useful, so accessible, and so affordable too, that it would be crazy not to take advantage of it. And I love that analogies, because my wife loves going to the movies, but she also loves this series on the British royalty on Netflix. You can watch that on I have a blank suddenly, whatever the name of that series is. The Crown. The Crown,
yes.
So that's, I think I thought I could respond to that, but I think really like this connection and the way we connect in the industry all year round and globally is really the future. And that's really cool to see all these people endorsing what we have done, and there's no...
And we're going to, and I want to tell the core racer audience, is that we will uplift all of this content as well. It will be recirculated when it's in individual episode form and pushed out via racer.com, all of our racer social channels that are appropriate to push it out. We'll let you know it's there. Some of the stuff that we hosted, we also house on our YouTube channel on a playlist. But really, if you want to see everything that's been created here, EPARTRADE.com is where you go to see the entire scope and scale of all of this. And it is like the ultimate library for a racer. There's a lot of knowledge and information in addition to all the resources on EPARTRADE.com. And we also will push this out through our sports car magazine, SCCA social media, and that we have a sports car magazine Facebook page. In addition, we have Vintage Motorsport, which also has a large online following and social following. So I just want the industry to have this, the people that are participating and the people who are working on race cars, the people who are running the racing series and marketing within the sport. This is our gift to all of you. We do this because we appreciate what you do, and we want to share what you do with your colleagues.
Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
And remember, we could not have done this week without our 5 sponsors.
For sure.
And I think we ought to just thank every individual host we've had this week. Do you want to run down the list here on your end, and I'll go through the racer list?
Go ahead, Judy.
No, go ahead.
Well, Jeff Hammond, of course, Brad Gilly, Joe Castello, and I did host my first one.
Yes, I was just stunned, and you didn't blow it, Francisque. I was so impressed.
No, that tells you how difficult this is, but I did enjoy, because I was sharing that with Nick earlier. Says like we're always in the back here, paying attention, listening at everything, and so we can't always listen to every single word that they're saying, sometimes. And so I had to really pay attention and make sure I was on my toes, and I couldn't do anything else, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's really, that's so much information. And then
it is. And if you see me just grinning when I'm in a lot of these things, I am just having a blast because I love what I'm hearing. I think all I could do was just smile when I was listening to Jeff Hammond and Ray Evernham. I thought to myself, am I really living this moment, listening to these two guys talk about what they're talking about? To be a fly on the wall when I'm not sitting there, and be able to hear what they really talk about, because there was a lot of mental horsepower on that screen, and I wasn't one of the things delivering the wattage. These two guys are some of the brightest people that ever worked in the sport, and the things they're coming up with, I think, are really good for the sport, really, really good for the sport. And they got to be who they are reputationally by thinking well ahead of the competition. And they're onto some things that I think the sport will learn from. I also want to say that when we had, I was moved. I had an emotional moment when the win from Pareto Autosport came on the screen, and I realized what they had done, and I realized what Beth had done in the years since we had her on the women's panel, and the world moved a little bit because of what they did, and moved in the right direction. And we only had a slight hint of what was possible last year, and to see them here on the cusp of, they're going to go do this again. I have great confidence, but when I shared those metrics, we're only the tip of the iceberg. I've seen the metrics that they generated overall, and it is stunning. I've never seen anything that I've been involved with in motorsports generate the kind of media reach and impressions and engagement well beyond racing that did. And
that was impressive to hear last night.
It was, and I think that what I saw too was a hunger in the eyes of these racers on this team to come back and do it better, to expand what they're doing, and bring it home to even more success. I mean, that was a tall mountain under the circumstance. They had the help of Roger Penske, but having some visibility into the challenges they faced. There were challenges. It wasn't all, hey, you have a Penske team car, you have a Penske relationship. There was a lot of stuff that they had to bring together very quickly. And Roger Penske and his people are the best in the business. But I think the fact that they validated what Beth was doing, and Roger had a direct experience working with Beth in the NASCAR relationship when they won the championship together. So he knew what Beth was about and what her potential was. So he's no fool. I've worked with him as on the agency side, and he knows what he's doing. But I wanted to finish this thought with, that's something that will never be stopped now. That genie is literally out of the bottle. And my perfect imagining of what this world will be in a year or two is there'll be multiple teams like this, where women are very, very forward and very present, not just in a driving role, but in a team role. And I think that if I see that across the sport, I'll be thrilled, because you bring audience when you do that.
Absolutely do.
Well said. And this week has really left me feeling excited for the upcoming year in so many different forms of motorsports. There's a lot of excitement.
Yeah, it's like Christmas for me is going to be in January at the Rolex in Daytona, and at the Race of Champions, and it's going to be at the Coliseum in February, and at the end of February when IndyCar opens up, and in March when Formula One starts. We have just amazing stuff happening next year, and I have to thank my friend Marshall Pruitt for the incredible job he did. He's at the very forefront of what we do. He's a man of many talents, a multimedia maven. But today, seeing him crack a cold one with Mike Shank, I'll leave it to those
At 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I loved it. Clearly they're comfortable with each other.
That's the key. That's what I told Marshall this morning. Let's go back to the hosts. How important and how grateful we are to have them, but also on the relationship they have with the people they're with. Okay, like the interviews that Marshall had with Zach Brown, or with Mike this morning, Mike Shank, or with Andretti, because of the history, there is a zone of comfort that just makes it so great and so fun and so engaging, and same thing with like Jeff and Ray Everham. I mean, or Mario, when we had Mario Andretti, just like being with Linda, I mean, just like you feel this is the beauty of, we go back to the online aspect. I
gotta say, Linda Vaughn just rocks. I love Linda Vaughn, and I love her sensibility, her sense of humor, and Linda Vaughn's such a smart cookie, and just she's this person that actually understands what all of this is better than any of us combined, and she knows the trajectory of all these people that have come in and out of this world, and it was like being in the presence of divine grace watching that segment. Again, I'm saying to myself, am I really in this moment seeing this? And that was delivered over and over again. Chris Medland with Ross Braun, and then being able to talk to Chris afterwards. Chris is one of our best and brightest young talents at Racer, and I'm so proud of what he's done in developing our Formula One audience. Now we're in this moment where the audiences have expanded massively for Formula One and NASCAR over the last year, but Formula One, amazingly, is competitive in many months on Racer.com with IndyCar, with NASCAR, with IMSA. That's saying something in our market space. I want to also thank Lawrence Foster for doing an artful job, our editor-in-chief. Lawrence is, another one of these people. He's actually a racer as well as, he's got racing and rallying DNA in him. He's a great editor, but I'll remind everybody he was an aerodynamicist. He's a left and right brain genius, and he's the best magazine editor I've ever worked with. And he is a big part of our creative services agency. I want to thank, George Tamayo for leaning in and doing two very important interviews for us. The interview on diversity yesterday with Jimmy McMillan was an important one for us to include. I think for us that's going to be something that we're going to expand as we go forward. welcoming people to the sport is something we should be doing with this. I think the diversity in our panel lineup is something that can be improved. I think we'll agree on that. And this sport, as Beth is fond of saying, if you can see it, you can be it. That's a lot of what we do in motorsport. And thank you also to Paul Leggett for joining us today with the Taro Koki interview, our illustrator art director, who helped us develop the backgrounds and helped us along the way. And thank you to your team, Reed in particular, for babysitting all of us and keeping us on track.
Both ways, Paul, and I think there's a little magical aspect on Zoom as well. It makes people very comfortable, and like right now we're talking the three of us and we just feel very comfortable. If you put people on stage, it's a little bit different. On television, people may not be as comfortable as they are, but when it's a nice little interview on Zoom with 2 people or 3 people, it feels like we're in your office or living room or whatever, like Marshall popping up his drink at 7 a.m. with Shank, whatever it is, but makes it so fun. I'm finally able to take my glasses off, or just like.
And let's not forget to thank our 2 producers behind the scenes.
Yes, let's do that now, please.
Absolutely. So big thank you to Rick Keneski and Zach Shapiro, who have been playing tremendous part in putting the week together, as well as play a very important part every day in the EPARTRADE team. So a big thank you to Zach and Rick.
And I'd like to also extend a thank you to Victor Reby, who's our digital ops manager here, who's helped us along and coordinated promotion along with Bruce Kukuk, our associate publisher here at Racer. And I want to thank the Racer.com team, Mark Glendenning, Andrew Krask, and Joey Barnes for all they've done to support us in making this happen. This is truly a team effort. There are not a lot of us. It may sound like that we're running out of people. Actually, that's it. But we do all this because we're passionate about the sport. We're passionate about what all of you do who are engaged in the sport. And from the day I showed up, I realized my job was to help tell the story of what you do. And you do a better job of telling the story than I do when we get you in here on these sessions. And I think that none of our panelists and none of the products and companies talking about the technologies and services they develop have disappointed. You see people's lifetimes poured into these companies and these ideas, and it's inspiring.
And lastly, and just as most importantly, let's thank the attendees, everybody that joined us. We had people on here that have been here every day, all day, and then I've seen people come in and out. So thank you, everybody who has spent any time on this during this week with us.
Absolutely, and I promise you we'll find a way to do this even better next year. I think all of us were concerned that, how do we top that? But I've got to say your team was on fire this year in coming up with ideas and bringing home all of these great folks that we had on from the manufacturers and sanctioning bodies. You really did a great job in helping get that done this year. And I think the other thing that is important to mention is they saw what was done last year and they wanted to be here. And someone once said to me, the hardest thing in the world to stop is a good idea.
Right.
So I submit to you, my friends, that this is a good idea.
Thank you very much. Great, and we'll see you on Monday. No, I'm kidding.
I feel like I've been at a trade show. Less steps, though.
Well, I will confess I forgot my power cord when I came back to the office, so you have me probably for 8 more seconds and I'm gone.
Thank you very much.
I'm just going to go like this.
Have a great weekend, and thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
The concept for EPARTRADE is basically, in my opinion, there's a big hole in the internet. So the internet started many years ago, but there's never been an online business community for racers on the World Wide Web. The need for EPARTRADE is actually quite obvious. Basically, people in the business of auto racing need a place online to hang out and to get their problems solved.
It's extremely simple for a buyer or for a supplier to interact on the platform. The first thing you need to do is sign in, which is free. And the second thing is, when you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information. If it's a company, you click on request more information, and then from there, it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
You can go to epartrade.com, you become part of a community of businesses in racing, and it makes sourcing products much easier than just on the internet or using Google.
At EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier through an email.
More than that, it's a place to go just to keep current every day. So it's a good place to start your workday in your racing business or in your offices of your professional race team. And you know you're current when it comes to new technology, industry news, technical papers, technical videos, all of that and more. We're not looking for a million hits per day. All we want is people who are really the volume buyers of racing products in the racing industry to be part of the little world of EPARTRADE. We have racing businesses participating from around the world. So you get suppliers from around the world, you get buyers from around the world.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
There are two types of people, racers and everyone else. Racer Magazine is for those who believe that racing is a way of life. Racer embodies the excellence that defines a sport driven by passion, courage, and ingenuity. Get 1 year of both Racer's print and digital edition for only $39 with instant access to our entire digital issue archive. Subscribe now at info.racer.com.